Hi everyone, my name is Arjun and I'm one of the Pre-PG co-founders. So in this video that you're going to watch in a few minutes, I will be interviewing Dr. Vibhu, who shot up from the rank of 46,000 in NEET 2020 to top 100 in INI-CET. He's a Pre-PG premium user and he will give you excellent tips on how you can prepare better. I get right to the video, but in this case, we had some technical glitches because of which there's a lag between the audio and the video. But I would just request you to ignore the lag, even though it might be a little annoying, and focus on the lessons Dr. Vibhu tells you from his journey. Let's listen and learn. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of the interview sessions of Pre-PG. We've just started doing these so that we can help other doctors preparing for PG entrance gain from insights coming from people who have prepared well, and have been very successful. So we have Dr. Vibhu with us. Dr. Vibhu, let's start by just introducing yourself. Tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Vibhu and I'm from Bangalore. I studied in Shivamogga Institute of Medical Sciences, Shivamogga. And I recently appeared for INI-CET and secured a rank of 86.
Great. So tell me more about your, how did you feel when you get that rank?
Yeah, I didn't expect it actually. I was hoping within 200, and I felt happy when I saw the result of 86. So
So tell me why you did not expect it.
Basically because my GT ranks were around 600, 700 always. It never came down within 100. So I was expecting the same rank in the INI-CET.
What do you think changed?
I don't know. Maybe I attempted questions which I knew. I left out which I would have got wrong. So
Got it. And do you? So how many questions did you attempt in the in INI-CET this time?
I attempted 177 questions.
That's a good number. Just to be and you left the rest because you were not very sure of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good judgment. How did others react to it when you told them your rank?
Yeah, some were happy, some were surprised, and
Did anyone come back and say that I told you so, you would have done well?
yeah, 2 or 3 of them.
Right. Okay. Now you know that who knows you better, right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, now the intention of this, the intention here is to help other students learn from you. Can you tell me if this was one of your early attempts, or have you attempted any national level medical entrance before this?
Yeah, I appeared for NEET 2020 and JIPMER May session. This was my third exam.
Okay, so what were your ranks in those, if you don't mind telling us?
NEET I got 46,000, and JIPMER May session I got 1,019.
Okay, so that is quite a progression up, right?
Yeah.
So if you keep going, are you appearing in the NEET 2020? I mean the NEET 2021 coming up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, whereas you would be top 10 maybe going by that curve. Great. Yeah, now so you attempted all of these different examinations, and obviously you did something right during this preparation time. So tell us about your preparation journey. And if you could even start before this time period, tell us about your entire preparation journey.
Yeah, actually started preparing from April. Before that, during my third year, I had joined some coaching classes, but that didn't really help. I didn't focus then. So I started focusing from April, and from April, it was I fully committed to my studies. I did nothing else, and here we are.
So what do you mean by you're fully committed into your studies? What did you do?
First of all, I had a I had a good aim. I wanted to be in top 20. So I started with that aim in mind.
Good.
Um, so the classes started at April or so, and
And
I
these
watched
were which classes? Which coaching institute?
Bhatia.
Great, great.
Yeah. So I watched some of the interview like you are taking with me right now.
Right.
That helped me get some idea on how to study. So what I'll be facing in a few months, the self-doubt, lack of motivation, and all that, how to cope up with that. And
Right.
those interviews helped me a little. And so I knew what had coming, what was coming. Uh, so I was ready for it. And so I stuck to schedule what Bhatia gave me, and so I balanced studying with solving questions. So I
So
had
tell
a
me
pretty good
something.
strategy.
You could, if you could give me a sense of, you started serious preparation somewhere around April, and you joined Bhatia, and you had done coaching earlier, but this is when you were truly serious about it.
Yeah.
And you started with some amount of doing multiple choice questions and some amount of classroom coaching, right? Now, if you were to separate, if you split your time, right, like a whole day, how many hours did you prepare for a day through this time period?
Yeah, it was different when classes were going on and when classes were completed. So when classes were going on, most of it was studies. So after I completed what they had finished, I used to do questions whenever I got time. But when the syllabus was complete, I split it up like 60-40 or 70-30.
Okay.
But it depends on the individual actually. So how they are comfortable with. Mm.
So you did about 70% classes and around 30 to 40%. So 60 to 70% notes and classes,
Yeah.
30 to 40% multiple choice questions.
Mm.
Okay. And this, you were doing Bhatia classes in Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in Bangalore throughout this time, essentially the lockdown period.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me more about this, the whole practicing MCQs, and how did you utilize pre-PG, or did you use any other platform apart from pre-PG?
Yeah. I used Marrow, but I didn't solve questions over there. I only gave grand tests. That's all.
Okay, okay, and that's what you were mentioning, in those grant tests you got a score of 600,
Yeah.
700.
Mm.
So tell me more about. Let's start with, how did you use pre-PG when you were solving? I'm assuming you mostly use pre-PG for your multiple choice question preparation, right?
Yeah. Uh, when the classes were going on, suppose they were doing pediatrics, and I used to select pediatrics as a subject, whole subject, not particular topic. So I used to read whatever they had done, whatever they had completed, and used to solve questions randomly. So I get to know what topics are gonna come later, and I could cover what was completed also. Yeah.
Got it, got it. So did you feel yourself doing better in the topics that were covered in class and less in the topics that were not in the class, that
Sorry?
Bhatia had not covered yet?
Yeah. Whatever they had covered, I used to answer most of the questions, but whatever they had not covered, I used to get it wrong.
Okay, okay, but you kept going that way.
Yeah,
Did you do regular revisions?
yeah, I did. The daily tests on PPG was a great help because I was in touch with all the subject, and whatever subject they had completed, I was in touch with those. I never forgot. I never really forgot the subjects because I was giving regular tests on PPG.
That's really that's a very good point. That it's very good practice to whether you have finished a subject or not to take these daily tests, right? Like
Yeah.
it's important to keep taking these daily tests, particularly to keep in touch. And what you mentioned that what Bhatia's coaching, it says that Bhatia's coaching was effective, right? Like what you did in class and when you came and practiced that, you could feel yourself getting better.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
in revision, did you do PPG has that daily revision feature in which we bring out all the mistakes you did. Did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that was a great help actually. So I used to solve questions on PPG. I used to give tests on PPG. So when whatever questions I got wrong, I used to do it the next day. So the thing is, when you do the same question twice or thrice, you never really forget the question. So when you get the same question or the same pattern of question, you really get the answer, what the answer could be in that question. So daily revision helped me in such a way that I could not forget the questions I got wrong.
Right, right. Then, and that's the intention of it, right? Like, and
Yeah.
one thing to note, you might know this, but the daily revision on pre-PG, we space it out by at least 24 hours. So we will not give you questions you got wrong in the last one day. It is
Mm.
at least a day back
Mm.
and going beyond that. So it's not embedded in your very near-term memory. It's on a slightly longer term. So that's a better way of spaced repetition that we give you in practice too. So if you don't actually, we make it a point that in spite of people telling us again and again, you're giving too many repeats. Whenever somebody says that to me, I say, you're getting many questions wrong. That's why you're getting a lot of repeats. So if you make mistakes, you get a lot of questions back from, because that's our method to help you learn and understand better. Let me ask you something, Dr. Vibhu. You mentioned that you took those Marrow Grant tests and you got those low scores. And tell me why you were not doing the QBank from Marrow.
I like the pre-PG more than Marrow actually. Marrow was topic wise. So you take a topic, you solve questions from that topic. There were modules, topic wise modules. So I could, it was a little difficult for me to customize there. So what happens when you solve topic wise is that you get biased. You read a topic and then you solve the same topic, the questions from the same topic. You actually pretty do good. When
It
you
gives you a
solve,
hint. It gives you a hint of what the answer could be.
yeah. We will be solving questions on a short-term memory, but when you solve the same module a few days later, you'll get many questions wrong. So what is different in PPG is that I didn't choose a topic, I chose the whole subject. So it gave me questions randomly, and it made me think on how to approach the question and what the concept behind the question was. And so that made me remember for a long time. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And Dr. Vibhu, like we actually tell people that they should practice quite a lot from topic by topic to start with. And then we say that also, but do time tests and give yourself, we say that in our recommendations, we tell people that you practice by topic and that will help you, give you more confidence. You didn't need that, it seems, right? Like you were already jumping to the next step. But you can jump to when you go to the next step, you have to practice on a larger scale because the real exam has questions at a larger scale. It's not just asking you one topic, right? Like at one time, because you get the hint. And we always recommend that when you time your own tests, you must have noticed in pre-PG tests, we give you very little time to solve the same number of questions. But these are all old exam questions. And of course, we've added a ton of like close to 20,000 clinicals coming up now because it's becoming more and more important. Did you, by the way, attempt many clinical questions on pre-PG because we're recently emphasizing a lot on it?
Clinical questions. What I did in pre-PG a lot was solve AIMS pattern, PJ pattern, and NEAT pattern question. the JIPMA pattern questions. So
Oh,
you start,
because we give you the filters to choose
yeah,
those, right?
yeah. And the clinical questions were uploaded during a few days before the exams, I think. So I used to give tests on it, clinical endurance test, clinically focused, subject-wise tests. Yeah, they were pretty good. Yeah, I solved them, but I did not choose the filter which said clinical questions. So
Got it, got it. No, but that's actually the best way to solve it is using those methods, right? Like the clinical questions being coming as integrated
yeah.
into the main test, because that's how you get it in the real test.
Mm.
That's great. And also another thing, the reason we started the clinical endurance test is because we always feel that we see clinical questions are, first of all, do you find clinical questions very hard?
No, I actually find them easy because they're logical and conceptual.
Right,
When it comes to fact-based questions, it is just memory-based.
right.
So I like clinical questions. I like attempting those.
That's great. That's great. And that's consistent with anyone I've talked to who is well prepared on the concepts, really loves clinical questions. The one thing that they always say is that I take so much time to read through them. That's why we have clinical endurance tests, because I always say it's like reading comprehension. It's like you have to read a lot, you have to synthesize the facts, and there are just little things out there that you have to grasp and be able to get the answer. So
Yeah.
nearly all, like, in pre-PG we evaluate the what we call question DNA, the difficulty, not just based on percentage correct or wrong, but on the basis of proficiency of user. So I've always seen, unless somebody makes silly mistakes, the people with even average proficiency do clinical well if they have enough time to read it. But they don't have enough time to read it, which is in a test, they don't do very well. So it seems you did, of course, in INI-CET, you got enough clinicals this time. So it seems you did really well there.
Yeah.
So any more things, that tips that you on your preparation, particularly on the pre-PG side, aspects of pre-PG that were helpful to you?
First thing was it has great filters. It lets me choose the pattern of questions and recent questions, and I can simulate a test. I used to give simulation like the way you give daily tests, 60 questions, 30 minutes. I used to do the same thing. I used to simulate the same way. Like I used to give 30 seconds for a question. And I think filters are a great thing. And the next thing are daily tests, of course. They help me keep in touch with all the subjects. And next thing in Prep DNA, what I saw was daily progress, the chart with the scores. 90,
You know what was your readiness index at the end?
What?
Your readiness index.
Yeah, readiness index. Yeah. That I was really careful to not let that graph plateau. So whenever it plateaued, I was more careful about it. So I always kept it. What do you say? I never let it plateau.
That's great. That's great. But here's the thing. You're saying like never let plateau, but every day I get so many people writing to me saying that I have plateaued. So tell me, what did you do when you got stuck? Whenever you started plateauing, what was your strategy?
Yeah. So I used to solve more questions whenever I plateaued. So this is usually after the syllabus is complete. So whenever I gave a grand test, I used to check which subject I was going, which subject I didn't perform well. So, and the Prep DNA has this, I never wanted a yellow color with the Prep DNA. So
Right.
I used to check which subject I was going low at, and I used to
Right.
solve more questions on that subject.
Got it. Got it. So you had mentioned that, I saw your prep DNA at the end. It was mostly greens. Did you start with all greens, or was it another color when you started early on?
I didn't notice. I haven't noticed it actually. I think it wasn't all green. I don't think it was all green. I started improving when the classes started actually. So whenever whenever the classes were going, I used to solve questions on that topic, on that subject. So one by one, the the yellow color started decreasing.
Got it. Got it. Great. Great. So that's great advice. So, just summarizing what I'm hearing from you is that you did your classes, and we always advocate that when somebody you do need to learn the concepts well, and that's
Yeah.
where coaching institutes like Bhatia do a very good job, right? Like, or you want to watch videos on Marrow, PrepLadder, or any of those platforms, the videos help. When it comes to actually practicing real, like PrePG is the practice platform. And by the way, there are also Bhatia institutes that have tie-ups with us in which they give their students access to PrePG premium so that it helps them practice on them. Though, of course, your Bangalore Institute is not one of those in which we have a tie-up. But the advantage of PrePG is that you get such a huge spectrum of questions across from old tests, and you can filter it down to the right thing that you're targeting at. And tell me something. We were talking offline. You were talking about the kind of questions that are on other platforms against the kind of questions that are on PrePG. How do you feel is the difference of that? Like, what is more representative of what shows up in the exam?
Yeah, I think Marrow, the way they frame the questions is a little more difficult, and I don't think those kind of questions appear in the exams. It feels they're framed somewhat in a complicated way. When I appeared in INICET, so there was so much of difference between Marrow questions and INICET questions. The INICET questions appeared more approachable and it made more sense. It was quite easy. So sometimes the questions on Marrow felt like it was missing something. So it was much more difficult to approach those questions. They focused on tiny little details and tiny little information. It was much more difficult for me. So what I focused on PrePG was previous year questions of AIMS, PGI, JIPMA. So the same kind of questions appeared in INICET. So
yes, you know why? Why do you think that happens? It's the same faculty that prepares the test. The people who prepare the test are the same. The reason PrePG focuses on previous year question papers, and even, there are faculty sitting in these institutes that have been there for 20 years, 25 years. They don't change. The faculty pretty much picks up what's in their brains. They look at whatever they have as their favorite questions. If you told me the top faculty that are giving the pool of questions that are going into these exams, I might be almost precisely be able to tell what are the top high yield questions because it's all, they're humans setting it up. But anyway, this is true not just for PrePG, INICET, Next. It is going to be true. It's true for every exam in the world. That's why we focus on old question papers. And those are truly authentic. These are truly authentic questions because they're all asked by very smart people setting up the questions. Great. So, just shifting gears a bit, one of the things that I care a lot about, and you must have realized this, that one thing that every time you're preparing for these things, going through these hard journey, your mental energy is very important, right? Like keeping your motivation high is very important. Tell us, did you ever feel like you got into a low, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, everyone goes through it. And at the beginning, I told you, I knew what was coming, and I knew that my motivation would go low and I would have self-doubt. And I did have it. And whenever I had it, I used to talk to someone, uh, express my feelings, and
Who did you
mostly
talk to?
um, my
Your go-to
family,
person. Family.
yeah,
Okay.
my friends. Yeah, I stayed alone in my home. I didn't have any study partner or something. And so I called my friends. Yeah, they helped me. It really helps talking to someone. Yeah. Yeah, whenever they felt low, they used to call me. And
Great.
yeah, I used to support them.
That's great. By the way, how did your friends do?
Yeah, they did pretty good. They got a rank around 200, 300, 400. Yeah, they've done pretty good.
Great, great. That's excellent. Um, yeah, it's always good to have a support from friends, right? I don't know if you
Yeah.
utilized our study circle feature, but we also let
Yeah, I did.
people.
I
You
did, I
did?
did. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There were 6 members, I think, and all of us used to give daily tests. And the first thing in the morning was to check who got what. And the first thing in the morning was checking where my place was and uh, compare with them, and it's just competition. So
Yeah, yeah. It's collaboration with competition, right?
yeah.
It's really, really good. Okay. And then, the origin of study circle is essentially this, that bunch of friends who are somewhat competing but helping each other out.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
and that's the special thing about us Indians, right? Like
Mm.
we have a circle of friends who help each other out and
Mm.
want to be successful together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. Okay. So another thing that always comes to my mind in these things, like you told us about your preparation journey. By the way, how many revisions did you do in this process?
Yeah. The thing is, whenever the classes were going on, that day I used to finish what I had in those classes. So the questions, the studying, all that, I used to complete before sleeping. The next day, before the classes started, I used to study the whatever they had done previously. So I had the new subjects going on and the revision going on simultaneously.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
yeah. By the time the syllabus was completed, so I think I had revised a little bit, about 70-80%, and then I had 1.5 month or so for the NICT. What I did for 30 days after syllabus was complete was to integrate subjects, integrate topics. So suppose I studied renals in physiology, I did urology in anatomy, urology in surgery, renals in medicine. So I integrated all the subjects for the next 30 days, and the last 20 days for the exam, I just revised the notes. That's all.
Great,
So
great.
proper revision I did once, and then what helped me more than revision was the concepts, actually.
So strengthening your concept using things like your notes.
Yeah.
Got it, got it. And what about the last week? Was it also focused on mostly strengthening your concepts?
Actually, I had um, mm, not an ideal last week. So actually, I wanted to finish one revision ideal revision within 15. The exam was on 20th. So I had a 5 days buffer period. So I wanted to complete entire syllabus within 15th of November, but I
Right.
couldn't. So that plan stretched till 19th. So
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to finish the entire syllabus within 15th, and the next 5 days I wanted to look at previous year questions, some images, but I couldn't do that. The plan of completing the syllabus stretched till 19th. So, but I really wanted to finish the syllabus. The notes,
Yes.
I really wanted to do it.
Well, that's an example of what others should take from that, is that even the most well-crafted plans might not work out,
Yeah.
right? And all's well that ends well, right? Like you did well at the end of the day. So it's great. Um, what was your feeling after the test? Once you took the test, how did you
Mm.
feel about it?
After the test, giving the test was pretty easy. The questions were lengthy, but they were approachable and they made sense and they were easy actually. After the test, I, fe- um, I felt pretty good. Uh, I felt I had done it average, and I was expecting around 200 or 300, a rank of 200 and 300. So okay, my friends had attempted 192, 193 questions. I had attempted 177 questions, so I had lost a little hope. But after the result, I was actually surprised.
You know what? I've talked to other people, and many of them told me that most of the people had attempted less than you had attempted. So, people were saying that they could not, they had left 40,
Mm,
45, 50. But, the fact that some of your friends did more than that, that is quite something.
mm.
Um, yeah, and there's a little bit of a gamble, right? Like you're ready to the interesting thing about the marking is like it's a zero sum kind of marking. You don't get like in NEET PG you get a slight advantage by attempting, because even a monkey might get like a 0.25 advantage over
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
But then you do not get that in AIMS or NICT. Um, so I would love to hear from you, like if you just wrapping it all up. This is our attempt to help other students prepare better. What are the few lessons learned or advices you can give other doctors? If people are coming to you and asking you for advice, what would you tell them?
First thing is have a good aim, and you should know how you should work towards that aim, and and getting self doubt and low motivation is expected, and they should know that this is to be expected, and and whatever happens, persistence is the key. Um, with hard work and persistence, anything can happen. Yeah, and good planning strategy is required, but the important thing is one should know what they are comfortable with, how they should study, because studying is completely individualized. One plan may work for one, and the same plan might not work for another person. So the only way to know this is to commit yourself and uh, have consistency. So you should have a trial and error. You should know what you are good at and what works for you. That only comes with practice and hard work. That's all.
That's great. That's really good advice. So just to sum it all, being you are someone who set a high goal and you held yourself accountable. I'm sure you wrote it down somewhere, right? This is my goal, right? And you made a plan towards it. You committed to the plan. There are times when the plan did not work out perfectly, but he
Yeah.
still persisted, stuck to
Mm.
it, and kept going on. And you did things like challenging yourself. I was, when I summarize this for others, I'll write about the number of questions you attempted on pre-PG and the number of hours. If you actually look at the total amount of time you spent practicing questions, I think you are underestimating it yourself. You did a lot, right? So that's the thing, that it's like if somebody persists and works hard and pushes forward against all odds, and that's all
Yeah.
it takes. So congratulations again. It's something to be really proud of.
Yeah.
A thing that this pandemic keeps reminding us is the importance of doctors and the importance of good doctors. So we are all thankful to you guys. I'm an engineer. I'm not a doctor. I can't pretend to be one. Again, congratulations, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.